Alright, kind of wanted to get this started. Kind of got a bit of a treat for you that you don't see too much anymore these days. Here's now I'm cleaning these new push rods off a little bit. I already got the other side done. I wanted to make sure there was no complications in doing it before I put these together. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do this side here. Put this rack together real quick and kind of show you this, and then I'm going to show you something. The reason why I'm using this motor over the one that was on the stand. I told you this was going to be budget orientated. I'm going to lose my butt on this Avalanche anyway, and especially if it was to resell, which was the original goal, but now I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if engine assembly lube is the thing to use on this, but this is what I have. I hate putting grease on it because I want these tubes to be able to open up immediately, these holes to push oil up to the top, but I want a little lubrication to begin with, so I'm just going to use a little engine lube, assembly lube on the end of these balls just to kind of get started. There is stuff specifically for these, but I wanted to make sure that these things instantly opened up without any problems of oiling. And I'll put some on the top too. But again, it's more of a just to make sure that there's something there to begin with, and I want it to be able to push the oil through faster. Now I'm pushing the lifters down. Some of them will go down, some will not. They're in those pockets, if you recall, and then when I pushed them down into their pocket, while they were in the pockets, when I pushed them down inside, they actually slid up into the pockets even further, especially as I bolted. That's normal. Don't be surprised that happens. But by doing that, it pushes your push rods up. And I am not putting much pressure on these. I'm just pushing them down. As you see, there's movement. You hear them hitting the bottom. It's just enough to push them down. I'm actually pushing the actual lifter down onto the cam is what I was doing. I wasn't slamming her. We were making, I wasn't bending push rods or anything. So anyway, same thing here. This is more of just a quick start lube kind of a deal until the oil pressure gets up to the top, which I'm going to crank the motor dry with no fuel going to it and no spark plugs in it, because I don't have the right tools for the job to do this. You're supposed to get the tank pressure. I've probably mentioned this before. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with all that. That's just not. If I was doing this all the time, then I absolutely would do that. But I'm not. So these are completely cleaned already, put together. Just push everything here, make sure everything lines up on all the push rods. And these are what they call non-adjustable. Most of your all your old Gen 1, Gen 2s, all were adjustable. You actually had to adjust all your rockers. These are not that way. These are kind of like the Fords and Oldsmobiles and Buicks and stuff like that. You just tighten them down to torque spec, which I'm using a 1/4 inch drive. These are 8mm headed bolts, and they acted like when I put the other side on, it's actually opening all of the, I can actually see the springs. It's actually opening the valves, every one of them, even without the lifter being they're not even what I call pressurized. They don't have any oil pressure on them. So I was kind of surprised when they did that, and but I spun the engine around with the breakover bar, stuck my finger over every one of the holes, spark plug holes, and I had compression on all the cylinders. So for what it's worth, it must seat them down to begin with and then bleeds the lifter off, which is maybe why they don't want you to submerge the lifter in oil like we used to on the Gen 1s. I don't know, you know what I mean? I just don't know, because you may not be able to see this, but if you watch this spring as I'm tightening this down, it's actually pushing that down. Now this may be partially open, but if you watch, it does it to I know that whole engine's moving. Yeah, that one's actually open. It's opening, but it's doing it to all of them. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what they're doing. And then when I spun it over, like I said, I had compression, and I'll show you. I'll do that here in just a minute. It moves awful easy. I'm just lying like that. Everything's moving on me. It's pushing that one down. This actually has pressure on it already. I probably ought to spin the motor over to tighten that one up. I checked. I don't know. Like I said, I was doing this right or wrong, but what I did was, after everything was tight on this side, this is the head you actually saw me do. I went and took my, torque wrench and set it at 60 pounds, and then went around and checked, or went up 10 pounds at a time on it until I hit to where one of these actually moved. And I mean, I didn't move much, it was just starting to move. And it was at 85 pounds is where it actually moved. I'm turning this around so I can tighten these other two up. Yeah. They'll self-align on their own. I just really don't like them starting out already. Just making sure everything's, like I said, this 1/4 inch drive, and I can always get back to this if I need to. So now, for those of you wondering, you saw those move. Am I doing this right? All right, I'm gonna stick my finger in number 1. That just actually came off of compression. I'm going to hit the camera. There's number 1, compression. Number 3. Number 5, and number 7. So I'm definitely getting compression. So it's not like I've done this, you know, by those actually opening up. I think what it was doing was it needed to do that because those were already pressure. I don't really know, but I will recheck these, of course, with my with the torque wrench. But I just wanted to make sure that those were on there. So I did to both sides. Racks are all on, and everything is kind of the way it was. Now, for those of you wondering why, I'll take you off the tripod, grab my light. This engine that's on there that I paid $100 for, shipped to my house, why I did not use it to build on a budget. And this right here is why. No, I did not put that in there. This had never had the oil changed in it. 170,000 miles. And I don't believe it's had the oil changed in it. That is sludge. And it's just not there in that valley. You can actually see it on the rockers down into the valley. You can't even see the head bolts. I mean, they really are non-existent on the ones inside. And there's, what, 6 of them in here? 5? Can't even see them. And that's that way on both sides. So the reason I did not use this one to build on a budget is for the simple fact that I have no doubt this is going to take a bunch of machine work. Because if you allowed it to get this way, this bad, I can't believe it didn't need a lifter, and I bet you it may have. I guarantee the cam bearings are crap, and I guarantee the rest of the bearings are probably crap, and I bet you if I pulled the oil pan, what you'll find is that it has such a buildup that the oil pump could not pick up anymore. They said it was still running, but it didn't run very good, and I bet you it was missing and it was doing everything else just for the simple fact of the it didn't have an oil pressure and it's ate everything up. It probably doesn't have hardly any compression. Matter of fact, the motor was half locked up when I got it. I ended up having to spray stuff down in the cylinders to get it to turn over. But it sat outside, upside down. But because I did see some rust here and there, not just in these. This is where those your knock sensors screw down to. So anyway, guys, this is the reason I did not use this engine as a budget build, is because of how bad a shape it is. Here are the knock sensors that come out of it. Not uncommon to be rusty. And here's the valve covers. And this is the bottom of that valley pan. Your knock sensors come through those holes. There's actually some gaskets which actually stuck down on side there. That's stuck to that inside. I mean, that's what you saw there was the actual sealing gasket part for the knock sensors that are still stuck in the block. They're kind of supposed to stick to this, but they are no longer doing that. But anyway, I'm going to clean these up. One of them got bent from being upside down. I'm going to try to bend that out. And then, is it this one? No, I think it's this one. Yeah. You can see it was shoved down in the dirt. I'm going to have to clean this out. There's a hole there that's also plugged up, not only on the ventilation, but that. These may not be usable. If I don't think I can get everything out of it, then I'm going to, I'll just use the ones that are coming off of that other engine. And these are the coil packs, like I said, that were off the Avalanche. I experimented with the ones that were here to see if that random misfire stuff would go away, and it didn't. And these had been apart on the Avalanche before, like I showed you. Possibly in the past. Somebody has been into that motor trying to stop it from missing, and it's actually really clean inside because I've had the valve cover off. So anyway, I don't know if I got to show you that plate that I built. Don't laugh at my welds. This may have been on a video I did not get done. The air conditioner's running behind me, that's why it's noisy. I just had some scrap steel laying around. I welded it all together, and this is the plate that actually goes, well, I'll show you. It actually bolts right here. And then this is how I pull the engines out. I'll pull them. I'm not going to bolt it to that over there, plus I'm not going to put the new plate on. I'm just going to set it on there because I want to keep it sealed up. But this will actually go on the Avalanche pan, or I'll pull it apart. And this is how I'll pull the engine and then put this one that's on the stand in. That's why I don't want to seal anything up over there. So yeah, I actually make relief cuts on it so that I didn't have to pull anything apart. It's actually not in place exactly. It actually goes like right here. And anyway, it bolts up with the bolts that I have. And then I think I had to put washers underneath it because their little bolts are a little long. But anyway, this is how I pull the engines on the LSs. It makes it easier to do. I've used that deal that bolts like here and then over on the other side, and that works. But the first time I did it, I used this hole here, and it cracked this trying to pull it out because I couldn't see what I was bolting to. It was just so hard to see, in the back of that engine. I just decided to use that. This engine will possibly come apart one day, and I'll either rebuild it, or if it really looks bad inside, I will just use parts off of it, the heads, the manifolds and stuff like that, if the crank can be saved. I guarantee it can be rebuilt. It's just how much money do you put into something. I mean, yes, it was $100, so it's cheaper than most, but I mean, most people can't buy a $100 pretty much complete. I didn't have the accessories, but it had the intake, valve covers, manifolds, coil packs, and balancer. It was pretty much a complete engine. Even the dipstick. Now, when they threw it on the ground upside down, they bent it up, which is why I haven't pulled it off, because I need to seal this one up too. So I'm gonna have to pull the one off the Avalanche. But anyway, guys, this is the reason why I did not use this engine for a budget rebuild, because it's going to take a bunch of machine work. I about put money on it. So anyway, to put that in perspective, this is what the valley pan is supposed to look like. Now you've seen this engine apart. This is what this is supposed to look like, and that's definitely not what that other engine looks like. So keep that in mind when you're doing a budget, what I'm going to consider a budget build or rebuild or whatever you want to call it. I want to put you back on the tripod. That way I'm not jerking around so much. When you do a budget, don't be in a hurry to find your core or to find what you're going to use to rebuild or you know, anything like that, because people's budgets vary. When I say budget rebuild, to me budget is under $1,000 to $1,500 complete. That's start to finish. That is my budget. I make more money than that. I could go buy a $5,000 crate engine if I wanted to, and I could have this thing running in a short time. The problem is I'm dealing with a $5,000 vehicle. So unless that's a vehicle I want to drive for 10 years, putting $5,000 motor into it, or even just a crate, you still have to put the accessories on the outside. I bought a water pump, thermostat, I bought pretty much everything on the outside of the engine to put on too, because I only want to do this once, but I want to do it on a budget. So to me, I'm going to have a $1,500 rebuilt engine. Yes, I could have found a 5.3. Yes, I could have rebuilt the engine that's actually in it. But then the vehicle is down and in my way. That's the problem I have, and that's the problem that a lot of you may have too. If you have unlimited space, yes, I could drag it over the shop, but once you tear one of these down and you pull the engine out, something has to support the transmission and transfer case while it's in there. So you have to come up with some way to jack it up and support it, and then possibly load it on your car trailer, or you know, I guarantee a lot of you don't have car trailers. I didn't have one until just a few years ago. I've always had to tow them or rely on somebody else or another way to move stuff around. And I don't have a lift. I would love to have one. That is a someday possibility. Right now it's not in the budget, it's not in the cards. I don't mind rolling around the creeper. Even being 51 years old, I don't mind crawling underneath stuff. I'm getting slower at it. I can't keep after it like I used to, but I still don't mind doing it. So I do this for fun. This is not my daily driver. This is not my job. This is just fun. Well, I say fun, boy, I guarantee it's not getting any funner as I get older, but it's still something I enjoy doing. So when you pick your budget to your application, understand that picking the first $100 engine like that one over there is not always the case. I guarantee, if I strip that motor that's sitting over there, yes, it's a 5.3, yes, it's only a year difference over the Avalanche. That's an 03 engine, the Avalanche is an 04. But if I strip that engine down, I'm going to have an immense amount of time in cleaning instead of just some cleaning like I had to do to this one, just to get that sludge off. Now when you're looking at that, you're saying, okay, what else is wore smooth out? But I will tear that motor down, and I will video that someday coming apart, and we will check everything. But I guarantee if it went that many miles without me, I never seen or heard it run. So the cam is probably junk. I saved money by being able to use this cam. I inspected this cam, I checked this cam, everything was fine. None of the lobes were wore out, none of the lifters were wore out. But I replaced the lifters. Could I have used the lifters that were there? Possibly. Yes, I could have saved some more money. But to me, lifters are kind of cheap. I got them, I think I got all of them for $100. And they're Melling, I believe they were. Same with push rods. They are still power milling. After looking at the rod and main bearings, I could have pulled one each and decided this was good and put it together. I did not have to polish the crank, but I just did it for the simple fact that the block was going to the engine machine shop anyway. So, to be honest with you, I could have taken this $200 motor that came with the bottom end gasket set, because that's kind of expensive, and bought an entire top end set of gaskets and put it back together. I would have still had to buy push rods, I would have still had to buy head bolts. But I could have done this for a lot less money. So, but I only want to do it once, I want to do it right, because my wife may be driving it. We may be taking it on vacation next month. I don't know if it'll be running by then. Things are going a little slow. It's just little things are slowing me down. Like I said, the head bolt situation, that's taken me 2 days to mess with these before I realized that, you know. Anyway, getting back to, let's skip past now that we've kind of beat this to death. Watch what you're doing when you pick your project for the budget you have. I have trouble buying an engine from Craigslist or Facebook. Oh, it's only got 2,000 miles on it and it was baby. Well, you know, I know how I drive, and if I knew I was pulling it out or going to something better, I guarantee it's got the snot run out of it. Unless you know the engine, don't pay too much for a 350. There's a zillion 350s out there. If you're going Chevy, if you're going Ford 302, 350, what does it make a difference? Chrysler. Chrysler's a little different, man. Ever since Barrett Jackson, Chrysler is just out of sight for engines and stuff like that, especially the older stuff. I can't get over what they're going for. So it's just, to me, that's just asinine. But anyway, let's go back to what I did. We're kind of done with the picking your projects. What I did was I set my torque wrench. 85 pounds was where I started moving the center bolt. So I went back, moved this, turned this over, and got back on this head and found that the center ones moved maybe, you know, very little to go to the 85, and the outside ones, I had a couple of them move a bunch. I don't know if I was supposed to do that or not. I did it because I made sure all of them were 85 pounds. So that kind of matched what this side was, because like I said, this side did not do, I didn't do to this side what I did to this side, getting that crap off of the heads, off the new bolts. So personally, if I do this again, I will probably take that sealant off of it. It may bite me. I won't know until I do this, drive this for a while to see if it's actually, I don't foresee a problem with head gasket issue, but I wanted to double check this side, and sure enough it was different. So I wish that they didn't do the torque to yield stuff. I really wish they didn't. It's kind of a pain to me to have to deal with that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here now. You've seen why I didn't use that engine over there. The next time you see this, I'm not going to show you a video on putting valve covers on and cleaning that stuff up. I'm not going to put the water pump or anything. I will put the balancer on because that's kind of a hassle once it's in. I'm looking at those manifolds over there. They're actually pretty decent shape, but I'll probably just use the ones that are already on the Avalanche. They're the same, but I may just go ahead and use them. And then I think the next time you see a video, I'll probably be pulling the engine out of that Avalanche. So, all right, guys.